على الله وكفى بالله وكيلا صدق الله العظيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. It is indeed the great blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we all have gathered here today and are sitting down to remind ourselves and to give yet another opportunity for all of us to remember and to remind ourselves of the importance and the purpose of this deen and its teachings. And Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as he is the blessings and the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon this ummah. There is a lot to be talked about nation in this regard. However, I know every single year we have the opportunity to listen and to be reminded of. And during khutbahs and speeches, we are asked to follow as closely as we can of the teachings of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But one thing I intend to remind myself and everybody is that let us have the correct niyyah and the intention in this regard. A practical approach towards the teachings of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Are we to just listen and to be reminded of and just walk away thinking that we have fulfilled the obligation of showing our respect towards this beloved Prophet Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Or do we have some responsibility towards his teachings and towards the mission that he brought? Obviously, the answer to all of these questions, if you ask any Muslim, they would say that yes, we do have the responsibility and a duty towards this deen. Then the second question that we would ask is that what have we done in this regard? Are we doing our best, everything that we could do to excel in this deen and to promote this deen to the next level? And if you ask this question, those who are very quick in responding, they will say, yes, we are doing our best. But if you repeat the same question again and ask them, are you seriously can consider and say that you're doing your best for this deen as a Muslim? I have tried this. You will have a totally different answer. They will think twice when you ask them to think before they answer. And then they would say, yes, there's a lot more can be done. We could do a lot better and a lot more than what we are currently doing. That is the exact point that I'm hitting today, or intend to hit. Before even I say, we are indeed Muslims. We claim to love Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and claim to follow him to the best of our abilities. But today, the time has come that we need to ask the serious questions. Are we really truly following Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the way we're supposed to, or the way we could? And when the answer is not, then that's when we examine the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and follow and look at it very closely as to what was the purpose and the mission. Why was he sent for the guidance of the humanity? Why was he this last prophet? Why was he the seal of all the prophets? What was the purpose and the mission? If you look into, there are several ahadith of the Holy Quran that talks about. I would like to divide this into three categories. As to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam shakhsiyyah, bin nafs, what was the position, the maqam of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Allah Rabbul Izzat says, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا إِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ وَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا. The ayah of the Surah Al-Kahf, the last ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asking Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to introduce to us and to the humanity that to proclaim that you are indeed a bashar. We want to establish this. Allah Rabbul Izzat sent Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as a bashar. He was not an angel. That's very clear to us. But the point is that are we really trying to bring him to the point of his bashariyah, or are we trying to relate to him? When we say he is bashar, when we learn, when we are told that he is bashar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is directly connecting us with his personal life. He was a human in all aspects. He has a need of humans. He has all the requirements that we as humans have. in spite of all of those challenges and the temptations and that he has faced in his life, he used the guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed unto him to rise above all those challenges and come to the point where we can serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was a role model, a model for us to follow in all aspects of our lives. Until or unless we look into Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a very practical manner, chances are we'll continue to fail to use him as a role model and a guide. And that's where we find majority of the ummah, generally speaking, we somehow feel Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the pinnacle, which he needs no question about it. He is. No question about it. However, when it is done for us to see guidance, we need to look into his human aspect of his challenges. And when we see these things, then we derive from his life, his personal life. When he first received the revelation after spending time in cave Hira, when he received Angel Gabriel, he rushed back to his own place of dwelling, his own house. Such a human aspect of his that many of us, whenever we feel anything that's unusual, be it is in our surrounding or within ourselves, no matter whether we are at our workplace or our studies place, we would like to excuse ourselves from that place and go back to where? Our places of dwelling. So was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he went there, where did he and whom did he meet with? He met with his spouse, Khadijatul Kubra, human aspect. As his spouse, what did she do upon hearing his experience? Immediately supported him, encouraged him, gave him glad tidings, comforted him, assured him. Want to take Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a role model and guide? Look into his entire life and his surrounding and those who was related to him, his spouse. We learn from this first meeting, first encounter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this respect and discussing this experience, sharing his experience with the first individual, that is his spouse. Immediate response is support, acknowledgement, comfort. Such is the responsibility and expectations from one's spouses. We ought to have our spouses rising to this level, supporting us and assuring us of the right path and giving us comfort and contentment to the point that we feel comfortable. This is one thing that we derive from the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Second, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after being comforted with his wife, whom did he approach? Who did he share this news with, this information? For following 3 years after this experience, Prophet ﷺ took his message privately to those whom he found that was willing to accept and say labbaik to his call. The message has just begun to reveal. Islam and the Quran has not completed yet. All the fundamentals of Islam has not been revealed and implemented. Yet, no sooner that the message has been given, the first and foremost thing that Rasulullah ﷺ undertook is what? Dawah. Inviting others. Propagating as to whatever he has received, giving it on. Passing it on and inviting people to welcome and to embrace and to accept. And to be guided. Rasulullah ﷺ shares this message with Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Who was he to Rasulullah ﷺ prior to this experience? A close friend. My question once again today is, can we take this aspect also in a very personal manner, on a very personally and a practical manner? That is, how many of us have those whom we call our friends? Who when we talk and invite towards the path, toward the message, towards the acceptance of one good thing to add and to better their life, they would say labbaik without any hesitation. Do we have such individual in our life? Who is our Abu Bakrs? We need to find. And if we don't have, we have lived whatever the number of years of our life on this earth, without even having a single Abu Bakr in our life? Who would say labbaik to this call and join us to promote the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any hesitation? Second, Ali radiallahu ta'ala, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam presented the message the way he presented, who among all those who are listening stood and supported Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We all know the story of Ali radiallahu ta'ala standing and becoming the matter of laughter in this gathering. But do we have such individuals that we surround ourselves with? Do we have this desire and zeal to take this message to the next level? But I'll tell you what our approach has become towards this beautiful deen. Deen has completed. It has been revealed. Centuries has passed. We have lived decades of our life. Yet, we still find excuses and reasons not to promote and not to even to talk about. We still find difficulty even sharing with our own family members. All the while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. It is the duty of the head of the household to make sure that his entire family is saved from the blazing fire. Even after having such an obligation onto us, we find difficulties even to talk to our own family members. Quran talks about وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ and warn those who are next to kin, your near relatives. When was the last time we felt comfortable talking to them? And when was the last time when we took initiative of talking and presenting the message? Not that we are calling them to come and embrace Islam, but to correct their aqidah. To bring the Sharia, the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their life, and the sunnah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to beautify and to forsake and let go of those innovations and the cultural things, and make our deen lillah ala lillahi deenul khalis. Even to bring those who are Muslims to come closer to the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has become difficult. This is the condition today we find ourselves. And I'm sure many of you would agree. The question we need to ask is this: do we lack the masajids? Do we lack the khutbahs and lectures and khatiras? Do we lack the resources of the Islamic information and knowledge? The answer would be no, 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 no. Then what is it that we lack? Where is it that we have gone astray or gone far from the truth? My dear respected brothers and sisters, if you carefully examine our situation, we lack the action on the knowledge that we have and the information that we have. While it is the condition for the success, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. If we only focus on this one, it is enough for us to bring us back to the basics and bring it back to the action. Faith in action is demanded. By the token of time, the entire humanity has a total loss, except those who believe and follow their faith with action. آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Before we even go on to this one, آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ is needed. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's life, in the verses that I recited before you, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu inna arsalnaka shahida. Shahida. Indeed, we have sent you, O Nabi, as a witness to mankind. If Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam is brought as a witness against us, we may talk about all of these things, but ask us as ourselves individuals, where do we stand? If Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam were to be brought against us as a witness, what have we done and how much have we given to the deen of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Second, this deen of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that all of us will enjoy after the centuries has passed. I'm touching only on the points because I see everybody before the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is knowledgeable and cherish the love and respect of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in their heart. Otherwise, you would not have been sitting here. And you are concerned and wanting to see and hear and to be reminded as to what needs to be done. So let me just remind myself and everybody on these issues that we really needed to work. And if we only work on these issues at this moment from this year to next year, inshallah, we will find ourselves in a better position. We, after the centuries have passed by, we still till this day celebrate Islam and enjoy its blessings and call ourselves proudly Muslims and practice Islam to the best of our abilities. But the deen that we enjoy today, do we know what entails, what is required for it to come to this point? Do we know the sacrifices of the Sahaba Rizwanullahi ta'ala ajma'in that was required and demanded in order for this deen to establish? It is the fitrah of human. In all walks of life, whatever the respective fields that we may belong to, be it is for the students or the professionals or the businessmen, whatever the respective areas of field that we are involved, we have certain degree of value to it. Why? Because we have given our time, our wealth, our efforts into has been put. And now because of the time and effort that we have put into, it has certain value to us. Students, when they put their hard work into their studies, when they earn their grades, they feel good about it, want to be acknowledged and recognized, and they brag about it, they share with others in a very positive manner. Businessmen, when they have worked hard in their businesses, they feel good about it and they have certain value towards it. Our children, when we have worked on them and we have done our best to raise them as an obedient and a righteous child, we feel proud about them and we feel good about it and we are really happy about it. And we cherish them and we value them. In anything that we put our time and effort into, we have certain values. Question today is, what sacrifices and effort and time that we have put into Islam? Personally, when was the last time we were asked to make sacrifice? When was the last time that we were slapped on our face for wanting to practice Islam and we had to put up with this? When was the last time a drop of blood that we gave for the sake of Islam and Deen? All of these things have came to us very easy. And maybe because of this, we take Islam for granted. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah protect us from ever being demanded the sacrifices that our Sahaba Rizwanullahi ta'ala ajma'in has made for. But the least that we could do is to remind ourselves of the sacrifices that they have made. The least that we could do is to share these sacrifices that they have given with our children and our loved ones for the future generation to appreciate and to recognize and to know the value of it. The least we could do is when we remind that we cannot do anything to excel and to promote this religion, but we can at least, if we can do anything to promote and to benefit this religion, but we will shy away from harming and damaging its image. Being the source of creating the ill opinion about this particular religion by others. We could do at least this much. All of these things are possible if you look into the sacrifices that the Sahaba Rizwanullahi ta'ala made. The seerah of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam offers many blessings. But at this time I would like to limit myself to the Meccan life of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam proclaimed this message, he was told that those people who have respected him, called him and honored him with the names As-Sadiq Al-Amin, the same people who have turned to him when in the matter in the dispute, seeking solutions and his judgment in the matter of their disputes, and then respected and honored and felt good about taking his decisions, the same people he was told that will turn against him. It was difficult for Rasulullah to understand and accept this. knowing that the same people who really respected me and honored me and called me with this beautiful name will turn against me? Not only they will turn against you, but they will drive you out of the city in which you will live. For people like us who have migrated and have been moving in the mobile society that we live in, it's not that big of a deal to us. But if you picture of that time, people used to die the place in which they were born. Very seldom they would travel, let alone migrating and being driven against their will out of their places. So it was very difficult for Rasulullah ﷺ to accept. But he was told, yes, this would happen to the people before who had called and came with this message. This is what exactly their own people did to them. My own tribe? Where this was the tribe and this was the custom of these people, when one tribe man killed the one another tribe person, without finding out who did it, they will find any one person from that tribe to just kill. And that will start the war that will go on for generations. Such was their position. If one were to born in this particular tribe, if that tribe happened to be the tribe of the leadership, they will enjoy this leadership. If one were to born in this and the tribe that is not having any position, they will continue to live in this state and will die in this state. This was the jahiliyyah of the situation and the condition. And Rasulullah ﷺ, having belonged to this particular tribe, is most honorable. Bani Hashim. Rasulullah ﷺ enjoyed his position. Many of us, I talk about these things. He was having the honor, recognition, respect in his community. He need not to sacrifice and compromise in these things. Just like many of us are comfortable in our own skin and our own status. We are settled and we are comfortable. When we are asked to make any changes and to give for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we think twice as to what effect will it have on the current status that we are maintaining. If we are to ask to stand up for the truth, we think twice and we ask our children to back off and relax and think twice, because we think of the consequences and the challenges that they will be meeting from the society in which they dwell and the consequences that they would face. And we fear those things and we say, no, at this time, be patient, sabr. We need to practice sabr. And what are the consequences, my dear respected brothers and sisters? At the hand of the same Muslims, we might have a different opinion for standing our grounds for the truth. Some people may cut ties from us talking with us and visiting us. This is the norm. Even then we are not ready to put up with this for the sake of the truth. But versus Rasulullah ﷺ, his life is filled with sacrifices. Not only him, but those who call, who say labbaik to his call. Mention the story of the family of Yasir. Not one person from that family, but the entire family was persecuted. Himself, his wife, Sumayya, his sons, Abdullah and Ammar, young. Who among us can say that our children are not dear to us? Who among us will not make changes only to make sure that they are protected? But when these people knew their declaration of Shahadatain will put them through the trials, they could have used any excuse not to show their faith. But these individuals, they'd rather give up their life than to compromise in the matter of religion. What happened to Sumayya? We all know how she was killed. She was demanded till the last minute only to give up faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And she did not. Such is the courage the women of Islam have shown. Hence she became the first martyr of this deen. Such is the honor is given to the women in Islam. Our sisters, our our wives, our daughters, our mothers are capable of demonstrating when they understand the message and the true essence of this deen, they demonstrate this way. They become the example and the heroes and the role models for others and the source of strength. In the form of wife, Khadijatul Kubra, she was the one who comforted who? Sayyiduna Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Khatam al-Nabiyyin, Sayyid al-Mursaleen. She is the source of comforting this being. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides the hearts of these individuals, our sisters, Allah has used them for this noble cause. Yasir, his limbs were tied to different animals and were ordered them to set in different directions. Just begin to imagine what might have become of his body when they all went in different directions. All of these things are happening in the front of the children. Young children of this couple are witnessing these things and continuously saying that Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Sacrifices were demanded, and these Sahaba offered this willingly, my dear respected brothers and sisters. They had choice. They were given a choice. Just denounce this deen of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will be free. It's not that they did not have the choice. After having given the choice, they chose to stay and give this ultimate sacrifice. Abdullah was killed. Ammar, in this situation, a teenage boy, witnessing all these things happening to his own beloved family, parents, his brother. Who among us can really say that I have the heart to witness even the least of these sacrifices from our own beloved ones? Allah did not put us through this, did He? If He wanted, could He not? Certainly He could. But the fact that He did not, isn't it a favor and the blessing enough for us to remain grateful and dedicate our entire life for the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to show our gratitude? My dear respected brothers and sisters, I don't intend to just paint the picture of sadness, but I want to remind myself and give everybody here an opportunity. The deen that we enjoy today did not come to us easy. This tree of the fruit of which that we enjoy did not grow to this point, not only with water, but rather it was singed with the blood of the Sahaba ridwanullahi ta'ala ajma'in. Bilal radiallahu ta'ala anhu, interesting, subhanallah. Every single time I read and I hear about it, I say, subhanallah. It amazes you. And why would it? It did amaze him. Khalifatul Muslimin, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu also. He asked during his Khilafah, Ya Bilal, strange was your situation. When you were being oppressed by this kuffar, by your a'ma, by your masters, why couldn't you just keep quiet or say something else? Why were you kept saying ahadun ahad, ahadun ahad? I find two narrations. One, he said that the more I say ahadun ahad, I used to see on their faces that they used to feel defeated. No matter what they do, they could not take this word away from me. And they would oppress me more. And the more they do, the more I remain patient, the more I used to find close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even in such pain, they found the sweetness of this deen, my dear respected brothers and sisters. Even in such difficulties, in the situation of hopelessness, their iman becomes strong. How often we face challenges I'm not denying that Muslims in America don't face challenges on a regular basis. How often we find it difficult to practice our deen and to remain Muslim. How often we find ourselves difficult position to identify ourselves as a Muslim. How often it is difficult for us to even to take time away from our activities, whatever we are involved in, to offer salah on time. My dear respected brothers and sisters, in those moments, if you remember Bilal radiallahu ta'ala's situation where he finds the reason to enjoy and taste the sweetness of this deen even in these difficulties, it will make it easy for us, inshallah, inshallah. And the second narration that I found is this. Subhanallah, I said, why were you saying ahad and ahad? He radiallahu ta'ala said, I was a slave under the control of this master. I did not have the opportunity to go visit Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and learn deen. All I knew about Islam was that there is only one God. That's all he knew. And he said, whatever I know, that's what I must say. Ahad. Allahu Akbar. Look into this. How much of the deen do we know? What knowledge of Islam do we enjoy today? How many among us who have memorized the entire Quran or portion of the Quran? How many among us have fasted decades of fasting? How many among us have performed Hajj? How many among us have listened on regular sermons? How much deen today we have? How much courage do we have? How much desire do we have to share this? This is the challenge that we all need to ask ourselves. Whatever Bilal had, he did not hesitate to proclaim. How much deen we have in our qulub, in our chest, and we are concealing it and hiding it. What will it take for it to come out? What will it take for the ummah to propagate this deen, to proclaim this deen, and to invite others for this deen? What will it take for this ummah to not to fear these atrocities? I can assure you, inshallah, no matter how worse it may become, if you want to take the same approach as the Sahaba has taken with this deen to promote, we may not have to give as much sacrifices as they have for our deen to become once again the deen that will prevail over all others. We are not trying to impose. There is la ikraha fi deen. There is no compulsion in deen. But all we want is to be able to practice the way we're supposed to practice, and we ought to practice the haqq that this deen has on us. Khabbab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the sacrifices that he did, how he was punished. Even then when he said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Ya Rasulullah, make dua for us that Allah find makhraj from this oppression for us. What did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? Interesting, subhanAllah. He said to his companions, he said, people before you were cut in half with saw for this deen. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not say that, oh my God, subhanAllah, you're doing so much. Yes, I will turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, where the Sadiq al-Amin, where is that person, that individual to whom these kuffar Makkah and leaders of Quraysh looked up to, turned to, in the matter of in which they needed some help in making decisions, solving the disputes? turned against to the point they not only speak against him, not only did they speak ill about him, not only did they do this, but they even went further to the point where Rasulullah was offering his salah near Ka'batullah, the waste of the sacrificed animal. They challenged each other, and one came and brought and put on his head. Had Allah wanted, with the maqam of Sayyidina Rasulullah, could He not have prevented this from this happening? But Allah allowed this to happen. And Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, not being belonged to the tribe and the power that he needed to have in order to stop them, realizing his condition, his position, if he want to open his mouth, they will make him into pieces. He sent somebody over to inform his beloved daughter, Fatima Zahra, of the condition of her father. She came running and moving this from the Rasulullah's head. Rasulullah raised from the sajda, completed his salah. And that was the moment that Rasulullah turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he said, Ya Allah, I leave you for them. And he took one after another with all of their names. And every single individual who heard Rasulullah saying this, their faces turned pale. Why? Why did this happen to them? They knew right away, if Rasulullah is saying this, they knew the maqam, they knew his messengerhood, they knew when the word comes out of his mouth, it will come to pass. And so it did. In Badr, every one of them were killed. Yet in the same Rasulullah when Abu Jahl was trying to attack Rasulullah when he was performing, because he had said that, I had enough of him. I'm going to once for all finish this business and I'll take care of this issue. Bear in mind, ya ikhwanana, that it is Khatam al-Nabiyyin, Sayyidul Mursaleen, Muhammad Rasulullah we are talking about, not any individual at this time now. Even him is being put to this situation for the deen that you and I today enjoy so freely. The sacrifices that our beloved Rasulullah gave for this deen. When the word spread in Mecca that Abu Jahl has openly declared this, that he's going to do this, his intention, people know that these people were with the authority at that time. Fatima Zahra also heard of this, and she rushed to her father and said, Ya Rasulullah, to the father, this is the word and this is the intention of Abu Jahl. And I fear for you, Ya Rasulullah. The life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are out to kill him. Na'udhu billah. That's their intention. What did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do? لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. How often we hear this? In the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a beautiful example. But how often do we remind ourselves that this beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will also have to go through all these challenges only to make sure that we get this deen. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked his beloved daughter to bring water, performed wudu, and offer rakatayn. Where did he do that? Where did he offer his salah? In his room? Begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and crying to protect him? No. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look at the trust and the courage that he demonstrates, because he is going to be the role model for the ummah till the day of judgment for humanity. Rasulullah after taking the wudu, he went to Kaaba where he always performs his salah, openly without any fear. Performed salah where the entire people of the Mecca was watching because they knew that Abu Jahl had made this announcement. And these Arabs, when they have said something in public, in order to protect their honor, they have to do it regardless. And if they fail to do this, then they have gone against their own words, they will lose their face in their community. Rasulullah went and started performing the salah, where all Kuffar Makkah was watching Rasulullah waiting for what Abu Jahl had promised to happen. Abu Jahl also came and didn't do anything purely. Nothing whatsoever. He couldn't do anything. Everybody in Makkah Mukarramah watched. And Abu Jahl lost his face in his position, his command. It diminished or it reduced to the point where people say, you just talk, you don't talk the talk and walk the walk, so to speak. Humiliation he faced and he met with. Such were the similar, very basic thing that I'm talking about, of the sacrifices that Rasulullah himself also made for this deen, and Sahaba Rizwanullahi ta'ala. These are the operations we're talking about. Now, for the promotion of this deen in Medina life, all those lives that were sacrificed, that they offer, and they give their lives for the promotion of this deen is different. We'll talk about it inshallah next time. Whoever have the opportunity, they may talk about these things. But I want to stick to this point and move on inshallah towards the closure. What I intend to do at this time is the following. We may hear many other speakers and we may read from other sources of the seerah of Sayyidina Rasulullah throughout this month. But my humble request to everybody present here today is this. Can we at least, when we try to take the whole picture, it becomes very difficult. If you look into the life of Rasulullah, he have always urged his companion to set long-term and short-term achievable goals. Practical. Deen is very practical. It demands faith in action. Everybody knows their limits. Based on our own limitations, let us derive whatever we can this month and try to implement and to beautify our lives with this. Two things only. One, that you add to your daily routine. Second, you take out of your life which is against his teachings. Simple. Ad-Deen Yusr. Yuridullahu bikumul yusr wa la yuridu bikumul yusr. Allah intend ease for us. Allah does not intend difficulty for us. We certainly need not to make it matter difficult for us. Just reflect on these things and see inshallah what we can do. I want to close with this. That is, these are the sacrifices that was made for this deen in order for it to come to us. Now it is our turn to do what this deen demands from us. Let us make sure that we will not leave this world without having to contribute towards the promotion of this deen. Lest we may fear that I fear that Allah may ask us in the day of judgment, I've given you your turn. Did you do your share towards the duty of deen? And we want to be able to say, yes, Allah, I did that. And that is possible, my dear respected brothers and sisters, if we only make a conscious effort and examine our priorities and find what we can do within our limitations and make sure we don't die until we have done that part. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to practice Islam in our daily life, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us courage to practice Islam in our daily life and increase us in our knowledge and iman and taqwa, and allow us to live to the best of our ability in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah, And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept us and our progeny for the service of this deen. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina habibina shafi'ina wa ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.